I didn't know whether or not I was going to touch on this story, but two things actually prompted me to talk about this. One was a live stream that I actually was listening in on where they were breaking down this particular story. And the person I was listening to, they live in Texas, so they're able to gain more information about this than some others will get outside of the state of Texas. And two, one of my subscribers had asked me in the comments, would I be able to talk about this? Because this is a story that's not really being talked about the way that it should be. And it was actually one other thing, but I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. So in this picture, you see a woman by the name of Shelly Luther. And first, let me just ask, I don't know what that is she's holding in the second picture, but it doesn't look like a dog. It looks like something of the rat family, but she appears to be rat like herself, not from looks, but just what her personality. So basically, a small backstory is this woman violated the stay-at-home orders, well, that was put onto place for as far as businesses goes, in saying that businesses or certain businesses that were non-essential could not be open in the midst of this pandemic. This woman owns a hair salon. That would be considered a non-essential business, but she decided to go ahead and violate the orders that was put in place by the state to open up her business, and she decided to go ahead and do it anyway. They found out she did it. She had to go to court. Mind you, they opened up court for this chick. Like when you're hearing me tell the story, you're gonna notice it's probably a lot of simp energy that comes out of this story, and you'll see why when I mention this. So she decided to open up her salon. She violated the orders. She had to go to court, and mind you, the judge proceeding and presiding over this particular case was a black judge. It was a black judge. A black male judge. And this story right here is going to prove to you that no matter how high up in a position you may get, they will always find a way to override you, no matter what. So basically, because this black judge was basically going to discipline her, and he did, and gave her so many options to not get disciplined. Like, he was literally about to let her just, not, I guess you can say, let her go if she just followed the instructions that he gave her. But it was too much for her, because in her eyes, here she is, this palm colored woman. How dare this black man, even though he holds a very superior position to me, talk down on me? How dare he tell me that I can't make my money, even though it's a global pandemic going on and everybody else has to follow the law of their state? But why do I have to do it? Mind you, she may not even get that many customers. But she decided to go ahead and violate anyway, and he gave her chance after chance, and she violated every last one of them. He was like, okay, fine. If you're not even going to do something as small as apologize, I'm going to throw your ass in jail. And that's exactly what he did. He threw her in jail, but she didn't stay very long. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to read these. It's actually going to be two articles I'm going to read. The first one is going to be how people rallied behind her. Like, rallied behind her as if she was the white Rosa Parks. That, I guess that's the perfect way to explain it. It says Texas Supreme Court orders Dallas salon owner released as Abbott bans jailing citizens for lockdown violations. Listen to that. This is the governor of Texas who says that he wants to ban jailing citizens for lockdown violations. Mind you, they already had something like this on the books for everybody else. But the minute a palm-colored female violates it, they want to go and switch up the rules. And because she had to go in before a black judge, then he really had to switch up the rules for her. So notice that they will switch up the rules to protect themselves, but they'll switch up the rules to go against us. If that's not being on code, I don't know what is. But like I said, just because you have a high position in this establishment does not mean they are going to treat you as such. They don't care if you are a cop, and you could be a high-ranking cop. Don't matter if you're a lawyer, a judge, doctor, whatever. We have seen various scenarios where this has happened. I've seen it with with judges. I've seen it with cops. They will do you in each and every time. But let me go ahead and read this article. It says the Texas Supreme Court on Thursday ordered the release of salon owner Shelley Luther, who was jailed for opening in violation of the state's rules, as Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order retroactively eliminating jail time as a consequence for violating the state's woo-woo restrictions. Listen to that. Who was jailed for opening in violation of the state's rules, as Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order retroactively eliminating jail time as a consequence. Meaning, like I said, it was on the books that you could go to jail for doing this, but he reversed it for her. Had this been a black female salon owner, nope. Black, maybe hit Hispanic and Asian, whatever. Well, let's just stick with black, because we know for a fact that they would have really gone above and beyond if they were black. If this was a black female salon owner, not only would they have kept this on the books, but they would have made sure the story went even further than what it did. Throwing Texans in jail who have had their businesses shut down through no fault of their own is nonsensical, and I will not allow it to happen, Abbott said in a statement. That is why I am modifying my executive orders to ensure confinement is not a punishment for violating an order. This order is retroactive to April 2nd, supersedes local orders, and if correctly applied, should free Shelley Luther. Mind you, that order has been on the books since April 2nd. But the minute a palm-colored female makes a fuss, he goes back and he reverses it. Tell me that's not simp energy. On Wednesday, Abbott, the state's Attorney General Ken Paxton, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick called for Luther's release after she was jailed by Dallas County State District Judge Eric Moyer. The official said he had abused his discretion and emphasized that the woman was keeping her business open in order to feed her family. Now, they notice they had to insert the part about feeding her family to lighten the blow. Now, what if this woman didn't have a family to feed and she was just doing it just because? They probably still would have did it anyway. As a mother, Miss Luther wanted to feed her children, as does every other person who owns a business. So they got to stop the whole world because she has some mouths to feed, as if everyone else doesn't. But see, this goes back to what I've been talking about with this us versus them society that we are in. Paxton sent a letter to the judge asking him to free her. As a small business owner, she wanted to help her employees feed their family. Needless to say, these are laudable goals that warrant the exercise of enforcement discretion. On Thursday, Paxton raised the governor for ensuring that people would not be jailed for flouting the state's virus restrictions. I applaud Governor Abbott's decision to ensure that penalties for violating public health orders are reasonable and not excessive. All Texans are trying to get through this crisis together, and no one should be put in jail unnecessarily. Abbott said it was not just that as the state was reducing its prison populations because of the virus, that it was also throwing entrepreneurs in jail, palm-colored ones. It may also ensure that other Texans like Anna Isabel Castro Garcia and Brenda Stephanie Mata, who were arrested in Laredo, should not be subject to confinement, Abbott said of the order. As some county judges advocate for releasing hardened criminals from jail to prevent the spread of the virus, it is absurd to have these business owners take their place. On Thursday night, Abbott said on Fox News Clanity that citizens' liberty need to be balanced with the need to slow the virus spread. There is a balance that needs to be struck, Sean, and that is why we are now in Texas opening up things like hair salons and barbershops, Abbott told host Sean Clanity. But Sean, you need to know this. The problem that we're dealing with is far worse than what we've articulated in Dallas County. Luther, after her arrest for operating her salon in violation of Abbott's executive order, was given 3 choices by the judge. She could offer an apology for selfishness, pay a fine, and shut down until Friday, or serve jail time. You would think that she would have chose either the first one or the second one, but she was not about to do that and went with option number 3. She actually didn't go with option number 3. Option number 3 was pretty much thrusted upon her when she didn't take the first 2 options. I have to disagree with you, sir. When you say that I'm selfish because I'm feeding my kids is not selfish, she told the judge. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they would rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I'm not going to shut down the salon. The dust up Wednesday over Luther's actions came after 2 Texas Republican lawmakers got illegal haircuts at another business in protest of the fact that hair salons and barbershops were not part of the initial wave of businesses to reopen under the governor's plan. Hairstylists in the cosmetology industry doesn't have a lot of lobbyists in the Capitol advocating for them, whereas maybe the big box stores and large restaurant chains do, and sadly they were overlooked when this should have been an industry that was open first because of how regulated they are and the health standards they have to comply with. He was joined by Representative Steve Toth in his act of civil disobedience. Now, mind you, these are state representatives. These are not your average everyday citizens. These are state representatives that are doing this, that did this little protest. Some example they're setting. Abbott this week moved up the timeline for hair salons, barbershops, and tanning salons to open to Friday after they were initially slotted to reopen in mid-May under the state's plans to get its economy going again. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read this other article that was posted 10 hours ago. Now, the date of this video being recorded is May 8th, 2020. And it's coming from DallasNews.com. It says the judge who jailed Dallas salon owner Shelley Luther was upholding the rule of law. Governor Greg Abbott was wrong to criticize Judge Moye. Now, also, I think they said Sean Clancy called this judge a buffoon or something like that. He probably wanted to call him a baboon since they like to compare black people to monkeys all the time. And before I go any further, I actually also found out they set up a GoFundMe for this woman. And guess how much money was raised? It's probably more now. $470,000 plus in just a matter of days. All because she wanted to violate the state orders. In the face of an unprecedented health crisis caused by the virus, County Judge Clay Jenkins issued an emergency order that requires sheltering in place and temporarily close most public businesses. Texas Governor Greg Abbott followed with his own statewide order. In particular, those orders shut down hair salons because the close bodily contact involved in their services. These orders were issued to protect all citizens from the hazards of a deadly virus. Shelley Luther, the owner of a hair salon in North Dallas, openly violated the orders of both Judge Jenkins and Governor Abbott by opening her salon. Her violations were blatant and part of a pattern of open defiance of the law. She ignored a citation by the city and kept her salon open. She then received a cease and desist letter from Dallas County. She not only ignored it, she tore it up at a local protest and said she would never comply with the law. Now, you have palm-colored people that will say that black people need to comply with this. We need to obey this. We need to obey that. That's some bullshit because they don't even do that. You saw what she did. She got the cease and desist letter. She went to a protest. She tore it up and said she would never, ever comply with the law. The city then obtained a temporary restraining order to ensure her compliance with the law, but she ignored it and continued to operate her salon. The shop owner was finally brought to court to account for her continuing violation of the law, putting in danger the community at large. She came before the state district judge Eric Moye of the 14th Judicial District Court, who judiciously asked her to apologize for her admitted open defiance of Texas law and to confirm that she, like everyone else, would follow the law going forward. Now, before I go any further into this article, I said there was something else I wanted to mention. When I first learned about this story a few days ago, and I was reading through the thread, it was like literally, it was almost like going to a Palm Clan rally. Everyone was saying how wrong this judge was and everything like that. She didn't do anything wrong. If I didn't have enough sense, I would almost had to agree with what they were saying. But then again, snap right back into reality and realize something more deeper is going on here with this story. And now we see it. See, they talk about us. They talk about us being defiant and we're not compliant when they're the non-compliant and they're the defiant group. And they have exposed that time and time again with this pandemic. I mean, they've done it before, but this one, now you really get to see it on a more massive scale than before. In a rebuke that would not be tolerated in any court in America, the shop owner refused, stating that her personal circumstances exempted her from following the orders of the governor and the county judge that otherwise applied to every other Texan. See how special she feels? She says that due to personal circumstances, she can't follow the order that everyone else can. as if everybody else is not in the same boat as her. In the face of the shop owner's open defiance, Judge Moye ordered her to 7 days confinement. Not long after, Attorney General Ken Paxton and others began to lead a chorus of criticism, but not of the law breaker. Instead, they criticized Judge Moye, the law upholder. Then on Thursday, Governor Greg Abbott rewrote his virus order so that violators cannot face jail time. And I mentioned that earlier. They rewrote this law or whatever was on the books because it was her. That's why I said there's a lot of simp energy coming from this. And then a couple hours later, the Texas Supreme Court ordered Luther released. She couldn't even last a week. She barely lasted a day if she even did that. The criticism of Judge Moye is unfounded, unfair, and ultimately counterproductive to the rule of law that is essential to our democracy. As a state district court judge, Judge Moye was duty bound to determine whether Luther's conduct violated the county and state orders. There was no question, or according to Luther's own testimony, that she not only violated the orders, but that she would continue to do so. Judge Moye's judicial acts form the very basis of the separation of powers under our Constitution. The very checks and balances that the founders of our country envisioned played out in Judge Moye's 14th District Courtroom. As for the ruling, Judge Moye rightfully ensured that the rule of law prevailed even under the emergency circumstances and enormous challenges of the pandemic. The orders issued by Judge Jenkins and Governor Abbott have caused pain to everyone, but those orders are and remain the law. Judge Moye rightly noted, if any citizen or businesses could violate those orders, or for that matter any law as they saw fit, then no rule of law would exist and anarchy would prevail. Businesses might feel free to ignore health codes while individuals might ignore safety laws they don't like because the laws are inconvenient or cause them pain. This must never be the case. While people may disagree on the best approach for handling the pandemic, we all agree, as Judge Moye held, that the rule of law must endure. It's never joyful to see people punished or sent to jail, but open defiance of the law is never an option for any citizen. Refusing to agree to follow the law during a court proceeding is not something that any judge or court can allow. No person is exempt from this principle. Like all of us, Luther does not have the right to simply ignore the law. And as Judge Moye wisely and correctly reaffirmed with his ruling, none of us should. Yeah, like I said, they went above this judge's ruling. Mind you, a ruling that he was only abiding by, that was put on the books by the governor and other state officials, but because it was her, the perfect little flower, the all-American woman, the quote-unquote standard of beauty, they rewrote something that was on the books for well over a month just for her. And because I also believe that this judge is a black man, they were not going to allow this black man to sentence this palm-colored woman to jail for even 7 days. So what have we learned today? That even, like I said, that even if you hold a very high position, if you as a black person don't abide by what they want you to do, and you go above and beyond that, even when you're doing the right thing, they will find a way to set you straight. And you better not do it again. But something tells me if Judge Moye decides to not do it again, or to do this again, if he wanted to, he can't do it now because he changed the rules. But let's just say they will find a way to remove him from the bench. Remember what happened to Judge Olu Stevens? All he wanted to do was give a fair trial. And they suspended him without pay for 3 months just for wanting a fair trial. They let you know then how unfair these court proceedings truly are. Now, this guy right here was doing his job and he gets reprimanded for it. This was his warning shot right here. This was his warning. They feel like the next time, if there is a next time, that's it. He'll be out. They will find a way to remove him. They won't even have to vote him out. They'll just say, pack up your stuff, you're done. And good luck finding another job. And that's not going to be a transference like it would be if it was them. When they say you're gone, they'll mean it. And they'll find a way to talk to other people, get in their ear and say, don't hire this man. You see this man right here? You see his name? Don't hire him. They did all of this for her. Now, with the rewriting of this law, let's see if anybody who is non-palm colored violates this. Well, it can't no longer be a violation, but let's see if they do this and see how far they'll make it. And this one thing I want to insert in here too, has nothing to do with the story, but I thought this was very idiotic, but it just shows you how desperate these individuals are. I don't think it happened in the state, but there was a story that came out of, I want to say, North Carolina, where it was a palm colored male who was a tattoo artist and owned a tattoo shop. He so desperately wanted to open up his shop. He didn't care if he didn't even have any customers that day. He just wanted to open up his shop. And guess what? He had no customers coming that day. They asked him, like, why did you open up your shop today if you have no customers? And he just said just because he wanted to open up his shop. I throw my hands up at the so-called high IQ crowd. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.